Anglers Extra.
The last time the Chatham Anglers met up with the Cotuit Kettleers, well, you'd have to go all the way back to June 29th. They meet up again today at 7 p.m. Part of a doubleheader Cotuit's already played earlier. Let's move on to our catch of the day on the Anglers Extra pregame show. It's sophomore righty starter for the Anglers, Mike Dennhardt. Now, Mike, you're in your second season with the Anglers. How would you compare this year overall to last year thus far?
I think it's a lot better. You know, I definitely grew up since then, you know, from a maturity standpoint. And I definitely made the adjustments that I didn't make last summer. So overall, I think it'd be a little better.
What about this set of guys compared to last year's set of guys, both as people and as players, as a teammate?
You know, as teammates, you know, you can't really compare, you know, the different classes. But I'd say there's some characters on this team that can, you know, certainly level up to kids on the team last year. But, you know, everyone's different and you know, really getting along with this group of kids, definitely.
Yeah, these guys certainly have a good time. Well, last year, it almost looked, in terms of the schedule, similar to this year, where you guys start hot, you fall apart a bit, then you start picking things back up. What would you say in terms of the season, in terms of wins and losses this year compared to last year?
You know, like you just said, we definitely had the same streak and started off really hot. I don't remember having, you know, that big of a losing streak, though, last summer. But I think wins and losses, you know, it comes and goes. Our hitting was just kind of, you know, our big problem. Our pitching, I think Ryan said yesterday that we're number 2 in the league. So, I mean, basically, if our hitting has been turning around, but, you know, that little cold streak in the middle of the season really kind of hurt us. But hopefully, you know, our pitching stays strong and our hitting stays like the way it's been, and we should do some damage.
Yeah, the hitting's been good lately, and Chatham Anglers have won 5 of 6 games. You mentioned pitching coach Ryan Heil. Now, what have you worked with him over this summer?
The biggest thing is the first bullpen I threw here actually was key because I, as you know, my first catch of the day interview, I told you I had a rough spring, and it was basically because mechanically I was all over the place. And my first bullpen here, Ryan actually fixed my problem. And basically at the point in my delivery where I was supposed to be going, all momentum was supposed to be going home, I was actually opening up way too early, and my pitches were, you know, hitters were able to see my pitches too early. So basically, I lost my off-speed pitches. You know, they were able to sit on certain pitches that I wanted to swing at in the dirt. And basically, by staying closed longer, which is the big adjustment that Ryan helped me with, you know, the hitters have less time to react to certain pitches. And it's really been paying off. You can tell my strikeout numbers have been higher than last summer and obviously the spring. So one of the biggest things was in high school, my best pitch was my curveball. And my mechanics were fine. I wasn't really worrying about them in high school, but I felt that as soon as I got to college, I had to try to do too much. And I had a tendency to, you know, try to really muscle up each pitch, and that caused me to open up. And I ended up losing my curveball halfway through my freshman year and especially my sophomore year. But Ryan really actually helped me out by staying close. I got the curveball back. He actually gave me some tips of the slider, which is another pitch that I just learned at the beginning of my sophomore year. So overall, he definitely helped me out. But for the most part, it was just that one key delivery because I don't want to think about too much stuff. You know, when you're on the mound, you just want to focus on competing and getting outs, you know. That's what the bullpen session, I had a bullpen today, that's what that's for, focusing on mechanics. But once you're on the mound, it's all competitiveness and getting outs.
It's amazing how one little change can make such a difference. I'm going to put you on the stage here just a bit. Can you just show me, in terms of opening up your shoulder and what you did, what that exact change was? Show me before and after. And describe it a little bit as you're doing it, just because we're on the radio as well.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of hard. Basically, I'll show for the camera. At the point in my delivery where I'm supposed to be like out front like this, all my shoulders are supposed to be lined up towards the target. But at that point in the delivery, you could actually see from pictures breaking down my mechanics, my weight and my body would actually be, my chest would be towards the lefty batter's box. And that kind of opens up everything, and there's no way for my arm, especially my curveball, because there's no shot that my arm can catch up to the center of my body where I can actually stay on top of the curveball. So everything would pop up out of my hands and it would stay up in the zone. So by staying closed, I'm staying directly towards home longer, and that gives my arm a shot to get on top of the ball, and everything's moving downhill rather than flattening out my curveball, my slider, my fastballs especially. But just by staying closed, everything is down on top. I'm not bending over my delivery. At some point in my delivery, you could actually see me like this, bent over, but now by staying closed, I'm actually staying tall, and Ryan is a big guy about posture and having a strong posture, and that helps everything go downhill.
That's very interesting stuff, and we'll move on to a change that's been made at school, as you now have a new coach, a new head coach at Boston College, where you will be entering your junior season. What do you think of the new move?
I actually heard a lot of good things about Coach Gambino. Coach Mickey Oyoki, he had some, good reasons to go to Notre Dame. It was just a better offer, and he has a young family. He just had his third child, and the commute to BC, I believe, is like 40 minutes for him every day. And, it's way too expensive to have, a house that close to campus, especially when you're trying to start a new family. So, I had a half-hour conversation with him about a couple days after he made the decision to go to Notre Dame. So, he made his decision to go, and you got to respect that. But Coach Gambino actually called me about 2 weeks ago, and he's really excited to get things started. He actually played there back in 1999. He played at BC. Then when BC's head coach at the time, Phil Hughes, went to Virginia Tech to coach Virginia Tech, he ended up going with him, assisting there. So obviously Mark Zucchino knows him, and I heard a lot of good things from him. Obviously he's a good guy, he knows a lot about baseball, but the biggest thing that I think will affect us, my BC team, is that he's a big discipline guy. And we had a tendency, our freshmen last year didn't really have some right attitudes when it comes to work ethic, like not only on the baseball field but off the baseball field. So I feel like he's definitely going to help us out in that aspect. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So you can hear a lot of things about a coach, but no one better than a teammate like Mark Zucchino on Virginia Tech. What specifically would he say about your new coach?
Basically, besides the fact that, he really pushes kids to the limit, I'm kind of afraid of the conditioning that he's going to put us through, because I think our pitching coach is from Navy or Army. So I'm scared about the pitching conditioning on top of that. But, I look to be one of the leaders this year at BC, and, I talked to him about that. And he's really looking forward to us, stepping up and, taking the team in the right direction.
Now back to the summer here with the Chatham Anglers. You guys lost to YD yesterday. It was a tough loss as the game was shortened by 8 innings. Obviously the team has your number this year. They've won 5 of 5 meetings. Can you attribute it to anything, or is it just a certain team having success against a certain team like the Anglers here?
Well, yesterday's game, for example, I'm not really sure about the other 4 games, but yesterday's game, I was in a dugout. I was actually I did the chart with pitching coach Ryan for a little bit, but I was like fully in the game. And some of the calls made by the umpire yesterday were just awful. We should have had that game. I think the final was 7-5. I think we should have won about 5-2. Just some terrible calls that should have been strike 3, and then the next pitch would be, a gapper, and would end up costing about 2 or 3 runs. So honestly, it's just fate. That's the way it happens. But I think they're a good team, but they're very beatable, and it's just sometimes there's things out of your control. As a pitcher, I'm used to that. I can't control anything after releasing the ball. So, that's what happens, but they're a very beatable team.
Yeah, that's how I want to finish up. You've been quite unlucky. The highest number of unearned runs against you this season. What's your reaction when a fielder makes an error?
It's hard to, not kind of cringe, but, you always got to pick up your fielders behind you. Because, like I said, I've learned as a pitcher over the past couple of years that anything that happens after you let go of the ball is completely out of your control. And as you become more mature of a pitcher, you come to realize that that can't affect you. That can't affect you mentally or obviously physically on the mound, because you can just do whatever you have to do to get out of the situations. I'm kind of used to it. It happened in the spring too, but part of the developing process is knowing that you got to give 100% just in your zone, and that's on the pitching mound.
Yeah, the defense has been sharper of late, so hopefully they help you out next time. Mike, thanks for joining me.
No problem, Scott.
That's Mike Dennhardt of Boston College, starter for the Chatham Anglers. I'm Scott Braun. That's your catch of the day on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Go Anglers!